If you only consume media on the right, you might be excused for thinking this week's 306-page Durham report on the Russian inquiry was a bombshell and damning, and that the investigation was an abomination and a soft coup. But Special Counsel John Durham's actual sharpest conclusions after a 4-year investigation were that the FBI suffered from confirmation bias and, quote, discounted or willfully ignored material information that countered the narrative of collusion between Donald Trump and Russia. The report recommended no wholesale changes to FBI rules for regulations or wiretaps, and Durham did not send a single person to jail, even though former President Trump once predicted that Durham would uncover the crime of the century. That said, Dan Balz, this is not an FBI that should feel good about what Durham discovered, because at a minimum, this issue of confirmation bias goes to the heart of how James Comey seemed to worry so much about what the perception of the FBI was, that he, whether it was overdid or underdid Hillary stuff and then overdid or underdid Trump stuff.
Well, since Comey, the FBI has been under attack. And the Durham report in many ways confirms what the DOJ IG report.
It's almost identical.
It's
really.
almost identical.
Yeah.
And in some ways backed off some of the rhetoric that they had going into it. Mm-hmm. But the FBI's been in a compromised position. And part of that has to do with the nature of our politics today. The FBI has become a politicized institution and a political target. And this is going to make it much more difficult for Merrick Garland as he goes forward with these investigations. And I don't see any way out of that anywhere in the near future.
No, and let me throw in this headline from your newspaper, Dan. FBI misused surveillance tool on January 6 suspects, BLM, Black Lives Matter arrestees, and others. Symone, look, trust in the FBI is eroding left and right. Feels like we're in the moment that we need a real church committee, that this is a moment like when the J. Edgar Hoover FBI clearly was no longer helping the American people. There was a moment. This feels like we might be in one of those moments.
I would say yes and no. Okay, yes, because obviously, I mean, as Dan was talking, I thought about the activists, civil rights activists, Black Lives Matter activists, Black Panthers, who have been targets of the FBI for eons and years. Okay, going back to well before this current political climate that we sit in. But FBI agents, law enforcement across the country, people who work for the government, they are in a precarious position because of this belief in the quote-unquote deep state that does not, I would argue it doesn't exist, but if you read, depending on what you read about this report, you could be persuaded to believe that it does. FBI agents' offices have been targeted. Right, their lives have been put in danger, and so would a church committee do anything but play right into the hands of those in the far-wing spaces and places of America?
I hear you, but it seems like we have to do something to restore trust. We have to, and it has to be moderate trust.
And the reason, Chuck, is that the FBI, the opponents of the FBI, the conspiracy theorists, the people who want to diminish our institutions, they just need 10% of the truth, 15% of the truth to make a living and to bring down the institution. So the FBI has to raise its standards because they can't even give these people an inch. With an inch, they can bring down these institutions.
And I'll be honest, Christopher Wray hides. He hides. He only goes before Congress, and he doesn't defend the institution.
There's a lot of consternation within the FBI about that, about the way he postures publicly. There's a couple of places where this is really going to come to a head this year, and that is the 2 special counsel investigations, the Hunter Biden investigation, and the reauthorization of Section 7002 of the FISA warrant. And that is something that's going to be a huge fight. The White House has been worried about it already for months. It's going to get worse, and all of this is going to be on display at that time, by the end of the year.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.